What's up, guys? I haven't made any videos with any real content as of late, so I figure since I don't really play TF2, I don't play Overwatch anymore, I would, talk about sort of an esports scene that I've been getting into these last 5 or 6 months is competitive Pokemon. You know, Sun and Moon Overused is the name of the tier, and these next few weeks I'm going to be in a draft league. So I just want to talk about that real quick. I want to talk about the different teams that have been that are available. I want to talk about what I've drafted. I want to give a quick rundown of how it goes. So there are 8 teams. You can see them here, and basically all the Pokemon that are competitively viable were split into tiers. Is there any way for me to zoom out? Nope. Okay, that's fine. So you've got all your tiers here. They're not perfect, but basically we go down the line, each person in order, and everybody picks one. There's specific requirements on what you have to pick and what you're not able to pick, and what you see in red are the stuff that was picked. Anything that isn't red wasn't picked, and you can see that there's some pretty good stuff that didn't get picked. And that's kind of the really interesting thing about the draft league, is that you have some of the best Pokemon in the game here. You have stuff like Hawlucha, you have Magearna, and they didn't get picked. So it's going to be an 8-week league with the 11 mons that everybody picks, and you know exactly what everybody else picked, and you have to sort of edit your team and edit your spreads and stuff like that so you can be ready to deal with them. It's a really cool way of doing it. So my first game is going to be against the Hagertown Ash Greninjas, which are down here. I'll be doing them right before I review my own team, the Houston Meteors. And, I just want to run down the 8 teams real quick and give my brief thoughts on them. Starting with the Warsaw Weaviles, that is by a player named Stealthy. And as you can see here, he managed to get Mega Swampert as his Mega. I think that's a really interesting pick because I don't know how much rain he's going to be able to do. I know that Slowbro can run rain. He's got an interesting regenerator core with Slowbro and with Tangrowth. He's got Swellow, whose Choice Specs Boom Burst is going to do a lot of damage. He's got Espeon, who, is known for Calm Mind shenanigans. It's known for having Magic Bounce. Snorlax is a bulky Pokemon that can do a lot of damage. And he actually drafted Zero Aura first, which, floored me. Because first of all, I didn't know it was an option. Second of all, I feel like you probably should have drafted a Tapu. Something that can enable terrain if you're going to use Zero Aura, because that I think is where it really thrives. You stick a seed on it, it's got acrobatics, it doubles, it's already insane speed. You can use the, it's pretty high attack with him, along with moves like Plasma Fist, it gets Fire Punch. There's a lot of things you can do with seeds, but he's not using that, so I'm really interested to see what he comes up with. Excuse me. Next up, we've got the Toronto Star Raptors, and I actually need to double check whose team that is, because I don't know everybody's teams. That is Abast's team. He seems like a pretty alright guy. He drafted Mega Heracross, which is, if you've ever played against it, it hits like a fucking truck, and it takes no mercy. So I'm a little afraid of the Mega Heracross. Landorus, is the best Pokemon in the game. Toxapex is one of the best walls in the game. Marowak has a lot of good utility. It has Stealth Rocks, it has Lightning Rod, it's immune to normal and fighting types. It's a little slow, but it has good defenses, and it has insane attack with Thick Club. Umbreon is just a solid cleric. Moonlight, Foul Play. No, Wish Protect, Foul Play, and Toxic is the typical set, but there's, plenty of other ways that you can run it. Ditto is the same everywhere. You run a Scarf on it, you run max HP on it, and you come in and you copy something and you do its job better than it can. Avalugg, you got that Omari P Heat. It's just an ice type that can tank some hits, and I respect that. Kartana is... How the fuck did this guy get such an insane draft? Jesus, he's got Lando, Toxapex, Kartana, and Coco. This is going to be pretty insane. He's got an OU team here, and I'm going to respect that. Rampardos has like 160 base attack, but it goes down to anything, but that's okay, because if you can get an attack in, it does its job. Behem is whatever. It was one of his last picks, I suppose. We have the Fior Fairies. I think Aqua is the one who... Yeah, Aqua's the one who had this team. Some questionable picks in my opinion. The main thing being the Primarium Z Crystal, which means that only Primarima can use Z moves, which means that none of these other Pokemons can use a Z move, which I'm not going to comment too much on that. However, the actual stuff she has available to her: Mega Gardevoir, Celesteela, Bisharp, Dragalge, Zoroark, Kling Kling, Mimikyu. There's a lot of really good stuff here. And, I'm interested to see what the actual teams that she's able to come up with and throw at me are. I have the Toronto Torracats, who is run by his name is Chris. Online he goes by Big Dick Pickle Rick, which is a terrible name, but that's okay. He's got Mega Medicham, the best Mega in OU. He's got Tapu Bulu, which is pretty good at tanking, and it can do a lot of damage as well. It depends on whether you want to run the AV set or you want to run the Swords Dance set, as well as some of the bulkier attacking sets that have been getting popular. Scolipede is good for Baton Pass. It has Speed Boost. It has Swords Dance. It can do a lot of damage on its own. Swampert is great because it has one weakness. It's weak to Grass type. And other than that, it's strong. Cofagrigus is good. It has a great ability. It's great against stuff like Mega Medicham. It's great against, what's it called? Mega Mawile. Anything that has an ability like that. Protean Gren is another good example. The thing is, there aren't a whole lot of mods like that with abilities in this draft. I don't dislike the idea of Cofagrigus, but if you wanted a bulky ghost type, I feel like there were better options. Just due to the fact that its ability isn't as useful in this particular draft as I would have thought. You have Miltank, bulky, normal type, immune to ghost, Stealth Rock, Heal Bell, Milk Drink. Milk Tank. It's got the good stuff. Zod2 is a really good Magic Bounce user. It has Roost. It has Psychic. It has all the good stuff. Hoopa Unbound is one that particularly scares me because it has 170 base attack and 160 base special attack, or maybe the other way around. It's one of the two. Both of its special attacks or both of its attacking stats are at least 160, and that gives me cause for alarm. I've used Hoopa in OU. I know that it hits like a tank falling from the sky, and there isn't really a whole lot that you can do about it if you don't have a fast attacker, like say a Choice Landorus, or I have some other ideas on what I could be bringing. Then you have Raikou, Calm Mind, Shadow Ball, Hidden Power, Ice Thunderbolt. The typical set for it. If you want to run Substitute or you want to run something like that, that's fine too. Big Dick Pickle Rick rocking the Grass DMZ, which I guess is only going to be Bloom Doom off the Tapu Bulu. So that's a little predictable if I'm being honest, but that's okay. I prefer predictable. I don't want to have to put too much thought into what my opponent's going to be bringing. They've got Aggron, which is 180 defense, I think. Drops to any fighting type move. I'm not super concerned about it. And then they've got Flareon, who actually is pretty high attacking stat. Toxic Orb and Superpower. It's got some pretty cool things going for it. However, I think that Flareon's probably not going to see as much play compared to some of these other powerhouses that they've got going for them. We've got the Virginia Escavaliers, who is Kindertuten. I'll be, for what it's worth, everybody that has a YouTube channel, I'll be linking these in the description. They're bringing Mega Absol, which is personally something that I fear a little bit. Not super badly, but it's something that I need to be wary of. It has Magic Bounce, so anytime I try to use Hazard, it's going to just throw those back at me. It has 160 attack, something insane like that, and it's Mono Dark. Not a bad Mega. They have Tapu Fini, which is just really defensive, 130 special defense. And Water Fairy is a really strong defensive typing, so it'll be a little bit scary. Gothitelle, also very scary. That's an Uber spawn. Shadow Tag, not much you can do about it. But I think that I probably have the oomph on my team to be able to deal with it. We'll find out in the end. Rotom Heat, good defensive typing. I kind of thought about pulling Excadrill just so that I could deal with Rotom Heat. But ultimately, it's got like 107 across 3 or 4 different stats, and that's not particularly terrifying. So I should be able to deal with it. Flygon is something that I wanted to pull, but I got sort of sniped in that sense. It's immune to Earthquake, which is always good. Dies to Ice-type moves. but it's not a bad Pokemon. It gets Dragon Rage, all that good stuff. Or Dragon Dance, excuse me. Drapion, only weak to ground type. It's got good attacking stats. It's got good, it's got sword stance, it's got agility, it's got that stuff. And it's got a really powerful attacking typing in Poison and Dark. Glaceon's pretty good. I've never thought of it as super notable. Mienshao is a fast attacker with U-turn and regenerator, and that's ridiculously powerful. Aerodactyl is pretty good. Things like Skydrop are powerful. I think Mega Aerodactyl is a really strong spot in the current meta. You know, being able to outspeed just about everything, pick them up, use Earthquake, use Stone Edge, use different Fang attacks. It's got a good position. It's got Iron Head, I think. Serena, strong attacker. Mono Grass, I think. I don't. Some of these Sun and Moon Pokemon I don't know very well, but Serena has some strong kicking attacks, so I need to watch out for that. And then Escavalier is whatever. I'm not super concerned about Escavalier. You got the Durham Granbuls, who I believe is Video Cam, who's the guy that's running all this. Yes, he is the Durham Granbuls. Just to start out, he's got a pretty strong core here of Clefable and Goodra. Unaware Clefable being probably the best tank in the game, in my opinion. Magikarp Clefable being incredibly powerful utility-wise, one of the best Stealth Rock setters in the game. Mega Gallade is just good. You know, it's not particularly amazing, but it does its job better than regular Gallade. It's something that you should definitely fear. If it gets the Sword Stance up, it can kind of just sweep. Goodra has 150 base special defense or something ridiculous like that. Solo Dragon type. It has some good abilities to it. Cloyster, I like a lot. I think he didn't like that he picked that, but I like Cloyster a lot. You know, you run things like Shell Smash. You run Normalium Z with Explosion. You run Spike Cannon, I think. You can run Icicle Spear. You can run Rock Blast. You can run Pin Missile. There's a lot of options there using that skill link ability. Then you have Ambipom, who, you know, it hits all right. It's not super special. I don't think it's a bad pick. You've got Manectric, which is also kind of whatever. I think Manectric gets Intimidate, which is, you know, it gets Intimidate, it gets Volt Switch. That makes it useful. Simisage, I never use Simisage. I'm not super concerned about it. Skarmory being a very late pick. Skarmory's really good with 140 defense, a Steel Flying typing that is really strong. Nidoking, I love Nidoking. I wanted to pick it, but in fact, one of my favorite offensive cores in the game is like Nidoking and Jirachi, because Jirachi kind of slow wears everything down with that Serene Grace Iron Head, and Nidoking, Sheer Force, Life Orb with like max speed, 2-hit KOs like everything in every tier, and I love it. But I decided that I should be taking this a little more seriously because I've never done a draft before. I've never done anything like this before, so I wanted to, you know, sort of enter with my best foot forward, as it were. Magmortar, he's fine. You know, he's a solid fire type. There's a lot of better ones, but that late in the draft, you can't really count on much. They got Fire MZ, which is probably going to go on Magmortar. It could maybe go on Clefable doing Flamethrower, maybe on Manectric for Flamethrower or Heat Wave, or Overheat, not Heat Wave. Flamethrower on Nidoking. And then they've got Haunter. Eviolite Haunter's pretty good bulk with pretty strong special attack, actually. Then we've got the Hagertown Ash Greninjas. A little bit of a mouthful of a team name. They picked Venusaur, Mega Venusaur, as their Mega, which is not a concern to me. They ironically picked Protean Greninja because Ash Greninja was not available in this draft. Along with Mamoswine, who is a strong, thick, bulky attacker. They got Jolteon, which is very fast. Can set up substitutes and then baton pass them out if it wants to. Fortress is just another big, bulky guy with a good, very strong typing and Steel and Bug. You know, only weak to fire type moves. Noivern is Flying and Dragon. It's got some cool things going for it. It's pretty fast, so that's strong. Musharna is Psychic type. It's thick. That's, you know, there's a lot of fat on this team, and I can respect that. I appreciate that. My team's pretty fat too. Lycanroc, I don't remember which one this is because again I don't know Sun and Moon very well, but It's got good attacking stats. It's got good boosting moves. It has, you know, Accelerock is a cool move. Doesn't really hurt me very much, but it's a cool move. Medicham, not as good as Mega Medicham. Hariyama, I don't understand taking both of the fighting types from Hoenn. I think that there are better options if you wanted 2 different fighting types. You know, this bad boy gets Recover. This bad boy has 130 base HP or whatever he has. And then Quagsire. Quagsire's Unaware, has Water Absorb. Those are 2 great abilities. Just kind of depends on what you're going to be doing. Then they've got Rock and EMZ, obviously going to go on the Lycanroc. Could also go on the Mimoswine. And that's kind of the 7 teams that came before. You know, my thoughts are a little disjointed. I'm still kind of new to the draft format, but you know, I got a good head on my shoulders and a can-do attitude. So we're gonna go into my team really quick. The first thing to notice is that I really kind of went crazy on these bulky water types. You know, you've got Mega Slowbro with 180 base defense, 130 special attack, and I want to say he has like 80 or 100 special defense. He's good. I like him. I've used him a lot. I wanted to pick him from the start because, you know, you can't go wrong with something like that. And it's worth noting that looking back through here, you know, how many actual dark types do you see? You see Protean Gren, you see nothing, Mega Absol, maybe Hyperspace Fury from him. I'm not concerned with Zorua or Zoroark. Umbreon's not going to be doing that much. And then this guy's got nothing. So I'm really not too concerned about the fact that I'm kind of Dark Weak. No, I'm not Dark Weak. I don't have a Dark Resist. That's a big difference. You know, I've got some really thick, really strong defensive options on here, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on. So, you know, like I said, starting out, we've got Mega Slowbro. He's going to be filling up a lot of pivoty positions. You know, regular Slowbro has Regenerator, which allows me to pivot through him a lot with that 110, 120 defense, whatever he has. And then the actual Mega itself has Hyper Cutter, Shell Armor, which prevents critical hits, which really doesn't sound like a super great ability until you think about how many times you've actually lost games or, you know, been put in terrible positions due to critical hits. And it suddenly seems like, oh, okay, well, now I understand why this is useful. You know, it's one of those things you don't really realize until somebody points it out. You've got Lele, and this is one of my first big threats. Lele is one of the best Pokemon in the game. Psychic Fairy typing is incredible from an offensive standpoint. It gets Psychic Terrain, so it boosts its own moves. It's effective. Its effective special attack when it uses Psychic is something like 190. It's insane. You know, you have a lot of different options at 115 special defense, which is also respectable. It's just got a lot going for it, and I plan on putting it to a lot of use. Then we've got Caesar, which was my second pick. I picked regular Caesar over Mega Caesar just because, you know, in this where I have 11 Pokemon to choose from. This isn't like when you're laddering on OU ladder and you have, you know, your 6 mons that you want to be able to fill their roles well enough that, you know, you have a pretty good chance against 6 other mons, no matter what they are. You're not trying to cover everything broadly. I'm going to be able to mix and match as I see fit. And I think that Caesar has the bulk, both defensively and even special defensively, that it doesn't really... that I can kind of focus on it from an offensive perspective. Choice Band, Bullet Punch is incredible. You know, he gets a lot of options. He gets Bug Bite. He gets... I think he gets X-Scissor. Yeah, he gets X-Scissor. He gets U-Turn, which is the important one. He does a lot of work. That's the important thing. I wanted somebody that hits hard physically to go with my hard special attacker. Then I picked Heatran. Heatran is also one of the best Pokemon in the games. And I'm not, you know, for people that aren't too familiar with the meta, I'm not saying these things because of some bullshit where, like, I'm just trying to oversell myself or oversell other people. These are actually top Pokemon that I'm drafting. Heatran is incredible. He has 1 billion resistances. He has 3 weaknesses. Yeah, 3 or 4. And he does a lot of damage, and he eats a lot of hits. That's the basis of it. He has rocks. He has Z sets. He's fucking crazy. With that, I want to take a second to focus on my other 2 bulky waters, because it's, like I said, it seems like I went kind of crazy on the bulky waters. It's because each of them plays a very different role. Slowbo plays the role of a hard wall. You can switch him out on a lot of stuff, and he takes almost no damage from it, and I like that. That's abusable. That's what I want to have available to me. Gastrodon is going to be walling pretty specific things. So it's at this point that I want to take a moment and talk about my first week's match against the Ash Greninjas. So if I had to, think about what I think he's going to bring, I think these 3 are a pretty obvious option. I think putting rocks on Ferrothorn is a pretty obvious option. I think that Jolteon's probably not a bad choice. I think Hariyama's probably not a bad choice. I think that these 4 are going to be the most obvious. Protean Greninja, so far, has been the single hardest Pokemon for me to try and guess what it's going to bring. And with good point. Protean's not easy to predict. It's incredibly difficult to predict, especially when they're trying to prepare for me just as well as I'm trying to prepare for them. So I want to talk about real quick some of the moves that Protean Greninja has available to it. It has Gunk Shot, it has U-Turn, it has Hydro Pump, it has Ice Beam, it has Low Kick, it has Hidden Power Fire, it has Toxic Spikes, it has Regular Spikes, it has Dark Pulse, it has Shadow Sneak. There's a billion moves that Protean Greninja can use, but it can only use 4. And if you look at this, Dark Pulse and U-Turn, this doesn't like it. Hidden Power Fire, this doesn't like it. Dig, maybe. If it brings Z-Dig, Heatran doesn't like it. Heatran doesn't like Hydro Pump either, but I think I can work around that. There's a lot of different ways that, my team is hurt by it, but he can't bring all of them. So as long as I diversify and I widen my team, I spread out my weaknesses, and I have plans already on how to beat him, but I'm obviously not going to say those here. But it's a big example of 4 move slot syndrome. Greninja can beat every Pokemon on my team by himself. He also gets extra sensory. That's another one I forgot about. He can beat everything by himself, but he can't pack more than 4 moves. So as long as I remember that, and as long as I bring a lot of different things, then that's fine. He could beat 1 or 2 stuff. As long as I take care of him, it's not a huge deal to me. So Gastrodon plays a big part in walling Greninja. And he walls a lot of things really well. He walls Jolteon. He walls any water type. He walls ice types pretty well. Electric types, fire types, ice types. He walls Rotom Heat completely. His typing is his typing is fantastic. Water Ground is a fantastic typing. His stats are, 111 HP. His special defense and defense aren't super great, but he's not there to try and fucking take 11% from a powerful attack. He's there to absorb the attacks that matter, and he's there to, maybe throw out a Toxic or an Ice Beam or something. He'll be able to do that. I've got Alomomola, who has 165 base HP or something ridiculous like that. I don't know if it's Alomomola or Alomomola. Because I was just watching the Sun and Moon anime earlier, and they called him Alomomola. But that's fucking whatever. Alomomola, whatever. Got me fucking... Okay, so it is Alomomola. Okay. Alomomola has 165 base HP. It's got like 85 defense and whatever special defense. It can, put out wishes from a base 165 mon, and that was going to take literally any of these and heal them up to full. He also gets knockoff, gets Scald, gets Toxic. Great Pokemon. It plays a completely different role to these 2 other bulky waters that I have, in that it plays more of a clerical role. And I'm probably not going to be running these all on the same team, but I'm going to need to kind of mix and match and figure out what I want to have in each game, because 165 base wishes are incredible. It's going to get a lot of utility out of it, and I think that I'm probably going to be using Alomomola a lot more than I'm going to be using Gastrodon. Next we have Rotom Mow. Rotomo was something that I picked pretty late. It gets Defog, it gets Leaf Storm, it gets Volt Switch, it gets Toxic, it gets Will-O-Wisp, it gets Pain Split. There's a lot of options available for Rotomo. And I just plan to put him to use. It's a very great utility mon. It has defensive sets, it has offensive sets, it has bulky offensive sets, it has offensive defensive sets. It can do a lot. I don't want to go too in depth on that because that's really it. I got Vikavolt, who's just a pet favorite of mine. You know, Vikavolt is, he's got 145 special attack, but he's got 43 speed. But he's got pretty good, bulk. He's got like 77, 90, 77 bulk, which is not unrespectable. He's got Levitate, so he's immune to, you know, he's electric and bug type, but he may as well be bug type because he's immune to ground type attacks. So he's only weak to flying, fire, and rock. So he hits hard. He hits a little slow, but he hits hard. You can run Roost sets on him. You can run Assault Vest sets on him. He gets Energy Ball. He gets Bug Buzz. He gets Thunderbolt. He gets Hidden Power. He gets it all. His moveset's actually not that great, but he has a lot of strong options available to him. I took Mudsdale, which Mudsdale came kind of late in the picking order. And I kind of picked him just because I needed a strong Earthquaker. I didn't really have anything that could hit with a good Earthquake. Mudsdale's not a bad pick. He's bulky as fuck. He has like 100, 185 bulk, which is awesome. He has 125 attack, which is awesome. There's a lot of options available to me for him, and I intend to shit on some kids with Mudsdale. You know, look at my horse. My horse is amazing and all that. I picked Claydol, which I kind of picked so that I could have another Levitator. I could have someone who's immune to Earthquake, and he gives me good options for Stealth Walk. He gives me good options as a Rapid Spinner. He can set up screens. He's a lot more versatile than you would expect. I think he has 115, 125 defenses, so you could take some hits. His typing isn't that great, but that's okay. He has 2 immunities, and that's good enough for me. You just swap it in on an Earthquake and then start doing things. And then finally I picked Tangela. And I really wanted to use Tangela a lot because Tangela is one of those Pokemon that was, it was an entire Pokemon when the games first came out. And then they added an evolution to it. And when you have Pokemon like that, you know, stuff like Porygon, stuff like Chansey, stuff like Tangela, those things get pretty good with Eviolite. Tangela has 115 defense and 100 special attack. So when you throw an Eviolite on there, that means that you have some 170 defense. As a grass type, that's pretty great. And it gets Regenerator on top of that, allowing me to form a Regenerator core with Tangela, with Alomomola, and with regular Slowbro before I Mega. So that gives me a pretty powerful core. Maybe if I wanted to set up a stall team or something like that, that would be available to me. Oh my god, fuck off. So I picked Ground EMZ. That's probably primarily going to be used on these 2 bad boys, but I also have it available to me on Gastrodon. I have it available to me on Claydol. I've got plenty of options there. Anyway, that's just me going over the gist of the draft, what I picked, why I picked it. You know, I've been having a lot of fun getting ready for this. Like I said, my first game is going to be against the Hagertown Ashcra Ninjas. I have been preparing for this. I've been thinking about it. I've been needing to prepare sets. I'm not at home right now, though, so that causes me a little bit of worry because I don't have, you know, I came home real quick so that I could record this, but I don't have my computer available to me. I'm watching my parents' place. So, you know, I can't do all the calcs and stuff that I want to do on my phone. Anyway, that wraps up this video. I will be recording and uploading my battles. I don't have a capture card or anything, so I'm going to have to use the awkward custom firmware streaming. But I've been trying to get it to work. The video quality is not going to be the best, but I think I can do it without too much issue. Anyway, that's all for me. You'll have a good night.